Well, good. Thank you, guys. Next session, I'm going to talk about the future of fan engagement and loyalty. And there we have a look at how Web3 technologies can enhance fan engagement and loyalty within sports specifically. But first, before we dive into the subjects, maybe some context about the company that I'm working for, the agency. So we're a full service digital marketing agency specialized in sports, and we work for renowned clients like Melbourne City, Western Sydney Wanderers, part of the City Group, big sports e-commerce retailers, but also the Dutch Soccer Federation and the Eredivisie, the Dutch Football League. So what we're doing with more than 60 colleagues, we are helping our clients with transforming into their digital ecosystems. So we're looking at their technology, creating new ways of fan engagement, using their data in the right way to make it actionable for marketeers. So that's in short about what am I doing. I'm digital innovation director. So basically I'm working for a lot of clients with helping them, guiding them to this digital transformation. And the digital transformation is not only externally for clients, but also making sure that internally our colleagues know what's next in digital for our clients. So today we're diving into several topics. First of all, the current landscape of fan engagement, the challenges of digital engagement in sports, also why Web3 is a game changer for sports, the tokenization of Web3 in sports, personalized gamified fan experience, and the strategic implementation of Web3 in sports. But why is all this happening? What's really important to consider is that we're dealing with newer, younger audiences. When you look at the way and the behavior that current younger audiences have, when you look at these stats, Gen Z never watch sports anymore, or less likely than millennials, for example. And I think that's something that we should really take into consideration, that the younger kids' audiences this day are more moving towards digital platforms. I think what we see with a lot of clients is that they're not ready to go to new platforms, to know how to use those platforms as a tool to engage with those audiences, except from going to the stadium. So what they're doing and why are they not interested in sports? But what are they doing right now? So it's really important to look at this before start looking into what kind of technologies you're going to use, because in the end, it's just a tool and it's not a goal itself to use those technologies. What's really important here is that those consumer behaviors, and especially for the younger audiences, is more focused to gaming and esports. So therefore, it's really important to consider which type of platforms you're going to use to engage with your audience. The content creation, it's really obvious that younger audiences want to create more immersive and deeper experiences together with the brands. So it's really important to consider that the way you produce your content is much more focused on short form. They're not going to watch all the games anymore through the weekend. They're looking for short form content on platforms like TikTok. And in the end, they're also a big competitor when you look at entertainment platforms like Netflix, like Prime Video, etc., where younger audiences are looking for more gamified, interactive content, what they consume through the weekend. So in the end, the changing consumer behavior and technological advancements demands that we rethink and reshape the way we engage with our fans. So like I said, the traditional loyalty models don't work anymore. We see a decline in the younger audiences going to the stadiums. So it's really important to reshape and rethink the way we engage with those audiences. So first have a look at the landscape of engagement and loyalty. So when you look at the traditional way, you see a passive consumer who has engagement in a limited way, where the sports industry mainly focus on just a limited engagement with only physical attendance, merchandise, and ticket sales. Where on Web3 it's more ongoing, it's more about digital experiences, tokenization, and gamification. When you see the personalization, it's quite limited. You see, when you look at sports, their data infrastructure is quite limited. They have generic marketing campaigns and fan experience because they don't make all the data that they gather through the weekend by ticketing sales, by behavior on their platforms. They can't centralize it and they can't make it actionable. When you look at Web3, it's much more personalized, so they can make sure that the experience are much more personalized based on their experience, based on their preferences, but also their actions, digital and physically. When you look at loyalty, at this moment they're just closed transactional systems. So you buy something and you get loyalty points in reward. And it's basically only focus on purchase and attendance. So when you look at Web3, it's an open and continuous ecosystem. So it doesn't matter if you do something on your phone towards a game, just watch exclusive content, attend at a gamification campaign or whatever, or go to the stadium. Everything is combined, so you can make sure that all the actions, the whole customer journey, all the touch points that he's going through, he will benefit from when he goes to the game. And when you look at community, on a traditional way, it's really limited to physical/online systems. And when you look at Web3, it's really important that it's enhanced through dynamic online communities, where our people are more engaging with fans and clubs and make sure that they have a much more active role compared to a passive role that most of the fans have right now. So what are the main challenges in sports? Because in the end, they really want to move to Web3. You saw a lot of different projects over the year. Unfortunately, they were all like really focused and money driven. They were not focusing on user and fan engagement to reward them for coming to the stadium or do something with it. Because in the end, sports fans are the most loyal and passionate consumers. But the only thing is that within sports, when you compare it, for example, to e-commerce, to entertainment, they have a real technological depth. We see that with a lot of our clients where they don't even have their data infrastructure in the correct way. So they can't gather all the information in one central place where they can use it for their marketing purposes. Besides that, it's really important, and we do that with a lot of clients, to first start with gamification, because then you give something back to the consumer. You make sure that they can do something, not only when it's match day or when it's in the weekend, but also through the week. So that's really a good way for us to first start building up their data itself. With this data, you can create more personalized experiences. So when you have more data about what he's doing, when he goes to the game, with whom he's going to the game, etc., we can create profiles to make sure that we can deliver the right content to them. And obviously enhancing in-stadium experience. So what we see, and what I earlier mentioned, is that most of the fans and younger fans are not likely to go to the stadium anymore because there's no deeper connection for them to go to the stadium. They can just watch it from their mobile devices or from their bench towards the TV. So it's really important that sport teams also are looking to ways to enhance the in-stadium experience by rewarding them for coming to the stadium or deliver something extra. For example, some game during the 15-minute break or before or after the game. And obviously, like I said, the adapting to digital transformation. You see in sports working with a lot of legacy systems that makes it really hard to integrate Web3 solutions. And in the end, that's a big gap where they first have to make sure that they have the right systems in place to go to the next phase. So that's for us the main challenges that we're dealing with now, and obviously monetizing the digital engagement. Some clubs are really doing well. For example, Bayern Munich, Barcelona is doing a hell of a job on that part, but still it's for most of the clubs, it first starts with building the right infrastructure. So why Web3 is a game changer? In our opinion, like I said, sport fans are the most loyal fans, and loyalty, engagement and community will be enhanced by Web3 by using the technology in the right way. In the end, it's just a tool, it's not a goal itself. So when you look at blockchain, smart contracts and DAOs, can make sure that you can do a lot more with ticketing, for example, not only from a security and transparency level, but also make sure that these tickets have more value, not only when going to the game, but also afterwards, or make it more or less a loyalty program when somebody goes 4 or 5 times to the game, that they directly real time have benefits when they buy something, some merchandise, or win exclusive experiences during or after the match. Obviously, really important to consider that the fan rewards also match the expectation of what they are collecting. So when you go to a stadium, for example, it really should stimulate fans coming to the stadium in the end. In previous projects with a lot of sports clients, we saw that there were not really benefits within it, but it was mostly money-driven, focused on just selling an NFT without any value in it. So in the end, when you use this in the right way, to use the technology in the right way to create new forms of engagement, it will create fans, consumers, really passionate consumer into super fans. But now the real challenge is that most of the sports leagues and teams don't have the first thing in place. So first start with creating something like a loyalty program or gamification. So when you look at tokenization of fan experiences, let's look at just the traditional fan experience. So normally, and this is a real simple visualization, a fan buys a ticket for a specific game. He will receive a ticket by email. Hopefully it's personalized, but then there's nothing he can do until the match starts. He attends the game, where he sometimes has a paper ticket or maybe by mail with a QR code, attends the game, and after the game, he will get a service mail or a marketing mail, mostly focused on merchandise, merchandise sales or whatever. It's not really something about the fan itself, something he can do. And when you look at tokenization of fan experience, it adds a lot of value towards the whole fan journey, all the touch points that he will face during, before, during, and after the match. So when you look at tokenization, for example, a fan buys a ticket on a blockchain platform where he receives a fan token. This fan token can give him a lot of benefits also before the game. For example, getting him access to exclusive content, or when he goes to the stadium that he has, don't have to wait in line. So when he attends the game, he can also redeem those tokens to have, for example, benefits when he buys merchandise. And in the end, when he goes to several games, like I said, and he engages with match content, he engages with polls, with gamification, whatever, he can collect fan tokens that will give him also loyalty and benefits for next matches. So in the end, this will add a lot of more features and engagement towards the easy and current ticketing system that a lot of clients are using from us. Besides that, with blockchain, obviously, personalization is a really important point where dynamic and real-time benefits can be collected, where it's mainly focused on targeted content and rewards, and gamification adds a layer on top of it. So it's not only about talking to the right person in the right way, but it's also making sure that this consumer can do something, like playing a game, or filling out a form, or predicting the score, or set up your fantasy team. This is also an example from Bayern Munich, for example, where you can play a game by challenging the goalkeeper Manuel Neuer. That makes much more sense, so a fan can have interaction with a club or a team before he goes to the match, during the match, and after the match. And a really important point to consider is that fans also are much more focused on engagement and competition with their friends, with their family, so they have a reason to go to the stadium or to follow the match. So the strategic implementation of Web3 in sports, because in the end it's not only a technological upgrade, because in the end everybody can start with just implementing this Web3 technologies, but it's also looking at how can the things that you're already doing complement and expand what's already in place. So for example, gamification, ticketing and memberships, merchandise, how can you boost that with those technologies? And in the end, it should focus on long-term solutions. So you can make sure that ticketing will have this extra boost when somebody comes 4, 5, 6 years in a row towards your club to go at games. How can you make sure that this fan will reward it real time? So this is all looking at just how you can use those tools to enhance or replace what you've already been doing. But most of them are asking us how to start with Web3. Because before you start with Web3, we always ask to really consider a few couple of things. Because like I said, their technological depth is something that is really difficult to integrate Web3 solutions. So it's first really important to enhance the digital infrastructure, so you also have the system in place that can help you with making sure that you can create those loyalty programs, that you can create engagement. Understand and educate your audience is really important, because we see often that clients are just integrating it as like we're selling an NFT collection, but instead of, we first ask like, why do you want to do it? Is your target audience ready for this? So the education around those technologies are really important. Most of the sports fans aren't really tech savvy. When you look at buying a ticket, it's really hard for them already, because it's a big fragmented customer journey, because in sports specifically, they're not focused mainly on conversion. When a sports fan wants to go to the stadium, in the end he will go. He will make sure that he will get a ticket. We have some clients who still fans call to get a ticket for the stadium. And when you look at e-commerce, that's a big difference in the whole customer journey. And obviously, when you want to move towards Web3, and specifically focusing on loyalty programs, just start with simple, why are you doing this loyalty program? Why don't you start just with Web 2? And in the end from there, see how it works, and maybe you can boost it with Web 3 technologies. But most of them are thinking that they can just start with Web 3 without thinking about how can I do it? How can I make sure that these fans are getting more engaged? Because in the end, it's not about the tech, it's about making sure that the fans will be rewarded and they don't feel any of the technology behind it. So in the end, incorporating Web3 strategies is not just an upgrade, it's a rethinking of how you engage with your fans at every level. From the ticket they purchase to the jersey they wear, each touch point is an opportunity for engagement and enhance the security, transparency, and interactivity of Web3 technologies. Anyone have questions? Yes? No, we recently expanded to Australia because when you look at sports, like I said, there's a big digital transformation. The only thing is what we see over there, that the digital knowledge, especially with sports, is really behind Europe. So in the end, there's a lot of potential for us to also consult those kind of companies. For example, with Melbourne City, we're now working on a big project where we rethink their whole digital infrastructure, their whole digital ecosystem, because now fans are just calling towards the stadium to get a ticket. And in our opinion, that should be the first thing they should do. So that's just a small example. And from there on, we're helping them to create a roadmap how you can go towards like something like loyalty programs, etc. So Australia has that, and we also have the Netherlands and Belgium where we're working in. I think the US market is really far ahead when you compare it to the rest of it. I think, yeah, far ahead. I think it's also because they consume sport in a different way. It's much more focused on the entertainment. You see also a big gap. We're now working with the Dutch National League, where you compare fantasy sports, for example, US market and European. That's a big difference. A US market is much more focused on player itself, and the European market is much more focused on teams. But I think, yeah, and I think the budget, the entertainment around this makes a lot of difference as well. Any other questions? Then thank you for your time.